by Mercedes, and we're talking edible flowers. How are you today, Mercedes?
More than happy because I just ate mine on the way in.
Oh, that's why you can.
That's why for the first time I've rocked up to the studio with no flowers. I haven't had anything to eat since last night. So I was eating away, munching on the snapdragons because they're edible. And luckily you've brought yours.
I brought a selection of flowers, but I thought I'd mention that Romans used edible flowers, and the Greeks did too, thousands of years ago, and so did the Chinese. So people are probably wondering, why would you eat flowers?
Because they make you extra happy. I mean, I'm happy, full
Yes.
stop, but you want to be extra happy? Eat cut flowers, the ones that you're allowed to eat. And that's what tonight's all about, going through the list, talking about edible cut flowers. Geranium is edible.
And in fact, yeah, who would have thought? Because most people just grow the geraniums in a pot. And
They do, and they hang out grandma's, you know, windowsill,
Yeah.
in the kitchen, and they look a bit boring, but I disagree. I mean, they absolutely marvellous, and they're edible. And let me demonstrate that blossoms.
So what flavour are you getting when you're eating that red geranium? Bit peppery?
It is.
Yeah.
You've had some.
Yes. Well, I know. Actually, nobody's saying people should tuck into a plate of flowers because that would be too much. We're just saying put them a little
lovely.
bit here and there. And if you suffer from hay fever, give that a miss.
You've got to definitely give it a miss. Hibiscus, this is another one. How gorgeous is that? I mean, she's gone to sleep.
Yeah.
God love her.
Because it's dark.
But
here,
it is edible. I'll have a go at that too.
Oh, okay. Right.
That's better.
Much better? Oh.
Yeah, I'll have another leaf actually.
So that's just a common garden
Yummy.
hibiscus that people have in their backyards or front yards.
That's really good, that one there. Yeah.
So you definitely would add that to salads.
I would, definitely.
Yeah.
Blooming heavens, the hibiscus.
Now, I wanted the listeners know that flowers are featuring in some of Australia's top restaurants.
They are.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Including violets. We've got borage here.
Yep.
Borage is more of a herb.
Yes.
And yeah, actually the borage flowers are very sweet.
I thought,
They've
let
got
me
lots-
let me
You're
taste.
going to have a munch? Okay.
Yeah, let's have a munch. So, how gorgeous is this blossom?
Lovely blue. It's the bluest of blues. Are you finding that sweet? No?
Oh, that's different.
They're very different. Okay, so
Oh, very nice.
it is very nice.
It is.
It's often used in a drink with Pimm's and lemonade.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I think it'll go. It tastes a bit like a cucumber, actually.
yeah, in fact, the borage leaf, when it's really young, is kind of edible. It's I know it's prickly, but you would only pick the really young leaves, and then you might stem them.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah, it's a bit like cucumber too. Yes. Another warning: not all flowers are edible. Some are poisonous. So if you can't
Indeed.
identify the flower, don't eat it.
Baby's breath is poisonous, so
Yep.
steer clear of that. And don't, let's go through the list. I'm
Okay.
sure the listeners are hanging for the blooming news. So the first is Miss Calendula. Miss Carnation is edible.
Did you know the calendula is there?
It
tastes
is.
a bit like saffron, spicy tangy.
Well, let's just demonstrate.
Oh my
that.
goodness,
Let's
she's taking
just
the whole-
behead it.
Okay.
Okay, Sabrina, close to the mouth, darling blossom.
Okay, she's popping the whole. Wow.
I don't mind that.
Yeah.
Citrusy, very orangey.
Oh,
A bit like its colour, actually.
Indeed.
Nice, I like that. But I still prefer, my favourite at the moment is the hibiscus.
Really, the
Oh
hibiscus.
yeah, it's blooming,
Good.
blooming, tasty, definitely. And as the list goes on, Miss Clover, we've got Miss Clover here,
So
my second love.
this came out. It's a weed, obviously.
It is.
Yeah. So you can eat that.
I'd eat it, but I'm not sure whether somebody has gone to the toilet on it. Maybe a dog or
That's
a cat.
true because
Yeah.
that's pretty much where clover's growing out on the verge or nature strip
Yeah.
or somewhere in a horse paddock somewhere. And,
I'm not eating that.
So unless it's growing in
No.
your garden and then you know you haven't sprayed it, that's another thing about edible flowers. If you know that you haven't sprayed the flowers with
indeed.
anything, don't just go on the roadside picking flowers because they could have been sprayed by the council or something like that.
Good point.
Yeah, so and if you buy them sort of maybe from a florist, they would have sprayed them with something maybe.
Yeah, go to a grocery store because they do sell them in pallets.
Yes.
And predominantly pre-packed. Predominantly speaking, they do that just to garnish your plates.
Yep.
And look, if you want to put the whole pallet into your salad, go ahead, because I've just demonstrated how delicious cut flowers are. The okay cut flowers, that is. Now, moving on to the list, did you know that Mr. Gladioli is edible?
Wow, and I grow a few gladies. They're not out yet, so we couldn't bring any into the studio.
Miss Honeysuckle is another. Miss Lilac. Miss Pansy, we know that.
Yes, pansy.
Queen's Anne Lace is edible. Gorgeous in bouquets, but now even more gorgeous in your mouth. Miss Snapdragon, Miss Sunflower. Believe it or not, Mr. Tulip is edible.
Ah.
Yes, the leaves, the petals.
The petals,
not
you
the
mean.
leaves,
Not
sorry.
the leaves, the petals. The petals,
And
yeah.
Miss Poppy is
Okay.
edible.
All right.
Yeah. But again, like you said earlier, if it be certain that they're not sprayed, and yeah, get started, get them growing in your garden.
Now, I've got tips of how to actually pick them. If you've got the flowers in your garden, you actually pick them just before you want to use them. Because then, like these ones, these being in the studio, they've been picked and they've closed up and they've started to dry out a little bit already, even though
right, okay.
I've got them. Check them carefully for bugs, but don't wash them because the petals are very delicate. And then you store them in a fridge in a plastic container covered with a damp paper towel while you're preparing dinner or lunch.
Oh, lovely. Now, I'm trusting that you've done the inspections, so
Yes.
whatever I ate had no insects.
That's true.
Oh, good on you there. Now, I want to talk about Rose, Miss Rose as well. Her leaves are edible, and it's the #1 cut flower in the world, the most loved, of course.
Yes.
And you can see why. It's just divine. I mean, that looks plastic. That's how perfect it looks.
Yeah, that one's 1001 lights. So when people look at the Facebook,
that's fragrant.
yeah,
That's gorgeous.
it's an old-fashioned rose, and
That-
it's the only one out at the moment in this temperature.
Now, before we wrap it up, I want to reminisce. When I was younger, he loves me not. But instead of throwing them away, he loves me and just put it in your mouth.
Or in your salad.
Or in your salad.
Yeah.
He loves me not. Knowing my luck, nobody loves me. So we won't show the viewers how unlucky I am when it comes to men. But when it comes to flowers, I'm very lucky.
All right, and finally, we've got to remember, if you're not sure, check with a reference book, your garden centre or nursery before eating a flower to make sure it's safe.
Great advice there, Marianne.
Once again, Mercedes, thanks for coming in and talking to Real World Gardener.
Always a pleasure.